7 o'clock. Good morning, Pile. How you doing, Jim and Kate? Today from the Bozarth Miller Chevrolet Buick Studios. Most trusted name in automobiles. Shohei Ohtani. What can you say about Shohei Ohtani that hasn't already been said about him?
I hate the fact that he plays for the Dodgers, but God, I love watching him play otherwise.
It's incredible. I remember watching before he came to the States when he was still playing in the Japanese league. Mm-hmm. They had a piece on him on Real Sports on HBO. And that's when he was kind of thinking about coming to the States. He was already the best player in the Japanese league. And there was, can he do both? Can he pitch? Can he hit? How good will he really be as a Major League Baseball player?
Well, now we know.
Now we know. He could stay, we're talking GOAT territory here for him.
Yeah. I mean, all he has to do is conceivably win a World Series.
Which could be this year.
Could very well be this year.
Could happen.
Assuming the Dodgers don't, Dodger.
Don't do Dodger-like things.
Like, choke. We'll see.
If you're on what are you guys talking about?
Oh, you haven't heard. Well,
yesterday, Shohei Ohtani, the Dodgers beat Miami 20-4.
Ouch. Sorry, Miami.
But in the game yesterday, Shohei Ohtani hit 3 home runs. He stole 2 bases.
And he was 6 for 6?
Yeah.
And I saw the one where it was not the one that put him in because it put him in the inaugural 50-50 club. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. The 51st homer was in the top of the 9th, and it was already like 14-2 or something like that. And I'm just watching it going, I'm like, do you really need to put Shohei out there? Like, I get it. It's history, but like, do we really need Shohei out there in the top of the 9th when you're up by more than 9 runs?
He was 6 for 6 yesterday.
That's what I said. It's
6 for 6. And he ended up getting thrown out eventually. He got thrown out trying to leg out a triple in his 3rd at bat.
Which would have given him the cycle.
Yeah. Would have had his 2nd career cycle. But here's the thing. Nobody's ever hit 50 home runs, stole 50 bases in a season till yesterday.
Oh, man.
No player in baseball history had hit 3 homers and stole multiple bases in a game. No player has ever collected more total bases, 17, in a multi-steal game. Previous record of 11 from Kirk Gibson and Brago Roth.
Who?
Brago Roth.
That sounds like when they were workshopping names for Ivan Drago.
Exactly. Brago? We'll go
Brago Roth.
No player since 1901 has collected at least 5 hits, hit multiple home runs, and stolen multiple bases in the same game. Also, according to OptaStats, no player since 1920 has ever had a 10 RBI day, a 6-hit day, a 5 extra base hit day, and a 3 homer day, and a multi-steal day within their career. He did all that yesterday afternoon.
Jesus Christ, Jack.
Apologies to those that might be offended by that, but...
That was Doc Rivers there, not me. I don't know what you're talking about.
But I know what he's saying, though. Is it the greatest single game performance in Major League Baseball history?
Well, there ain't a lot. There ain't a lot other games I can think of off the top of my head that compare, to be honest with you. Can you imagine, though, by the way, if he'd have gotten the cycle, too?
Oh,
Like that probably would have done it. That probably would have elevated it to greatest single game. I mean, I still think it is.
I mean, there are games out there that that certainly are in discussion. Jim Bottomley, Mark Whitten, when Bottomley went 6 for 6, 2 home runs. That was for the St. Louis Cardinals back in the 40s.
Oof.
And then Mark Whitten for the Cardinals in 93 tied the record. He had 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. The single best offensive performances, those two in Major League Baseball history. While those are really good, Ohtani's is way better.
And I love to throw this line out there, by the way he pitches. Obviously, he didn't do that this year. They were talking about it on Thursday Night Football. Al Michaels mentioned it because it came up on during the game. And Al Michaels, it was either Michaels or Herb Street that was like, oh, and he's going to pitch next year. Can you imagine how great it's going to be watching him next year when he's back on the mound? It's like, yeah. I don't think, and this is the thing. We are witnessing greatness unfold. We should be enjoying it. And it's the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's the one team.
But you have to, at least, in my opinion, if you're a baseball fan,
Yeah.
you got to take your Rockies fandom out of it and just
appreciate it.
Just appreciate the greatness of what you saw yesterday.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, the other question becomes, if he pitches next year, is that going to wear on him potentially? From a physical strain standpoint, because he's had some injury issues in the past.
It's a valid question, but
it's a little bit like the Travis Hunter thing.
Yeah,
Ohtani is probably a better hitter than he is pitcher. Not that he's a bad pitcher at all.
Not
that he's bad at all.
Not a bad pitcher.
It's kind of like Travis Hunter is a really good wide receiver, but he's a great cornerback. And he's probably going to play cornerback in the NFL and probably play a little, maybe depending where he goes, a little wide receiver, certain packages. You might see that. You're going to see him play corner, though. You're not going to see him doing what he's doing for Colorado. He's not going to play as many snaps at wide receiver. Just not going to happen in the NFL.
I don't know, though.
I just don't think you're going to see it. You're going to see him play snaps, I think, at wide receiver, but goal line formations, some certain situations he will be in there. For Ohtani, as good of a pitcher as he is, should he put his focus into just being a hitter? Because look what the results are. But anyway, that's your thoughts about what he did yesterday. Is it the greatest game in Major League history in terms of a single game performance? I mean, I went through some of these here. The Mark Whitten game. I mean, I'm just talking about offensive, not like a Roger Clemens 20-some strikeout game.
Yeah, not a perfect game from a pitcher.
Yeah, we're just talking about offense. Because that's, to me, they're two different things when you talk about a single game performance. From an offensive standpoint, I mean, it's phenomenal.
It's insane.
I think people who say it's the greatest single game performance of all time, I believe Gavin Lux said it's got to be. I don't think they're wrong when they say that. So if you got some reaction to that today, I want to cheer on your local high school football team. Montrose has Central tonight. We've got Palisade at Durango. Battle for the Black and Blue Trophy tonight as well with Grand Junction and Fruita Monument. Wildcats have won the last 8 against Grand Junction. But the Tigers football team is playing some really good football right now.
And here's the thing. I was thinking about this the other day when you guys were talking with our team's team of the week from Rick Nelson Agency. The Grand Junction Tigers football team. It's kind of like you want to get the win. But now that Fruita's in 5A, unless you get absolutely boat raced, it's kind of a win-win either way, because if you're playing a 5A team and you stay competitive with them, that's good for RPI.
Absolutely. And I do feel like Grand Junction, their feeling is, and in talking with Will Applegate yesterday and Austin Music, that their seniors, they want to beat Fruita Monument, but they have not beat them as Grand Junction Tigers in their high school career on the football field
and
in a varsity game. And they feel like they have a team capable of doing that. And should be a great game tonight. Battle for the Black and Blue Trophy here on the team. And then
crowd is going to be nuts.
Yeah, Palisade at Durango tonight as well. So we'll have coverage of both. Starts the countdown to kickoff at 4 with Nate Andrews here at the studios. Palisade, it's weird, kind of a weird start time. I mean, Front Range, we're used to like a 4 o'clock start, but usually not over here. But they're going to kick it off at 5 with Palisade at Durango. And then as we get close to kickoff for Fruita Monument Grand Junction, we will join that game with Rio Van Gilder and Chuck Yost. And then, of course, we got CMU at CSU Pueblo tomorrow, right here on the team. That game, once again, has been moved up to an 11 o'clock kick. Tyler will have, of course, Maverick Stampede pregame show at 10 tomorrow for that one.
Yes, sir.
From the Thunder Bowl. And then tomorrow, we got Colorado homecoming against Baylor over on KNZZ. That starts with pregame at 5 o'clock, kickoff at 6 with Mark Johnson and Gary Barnett. And then tomorrow night on the team, we'll have Kansas State at BYU in a Big 12 showdown, which is still weird to say.
That's wrong. That's just wrong.
It is here, too, BYU being in the Big 12, but
it's still wrong.
8 o'clock tomorrow night, Gridiron Radio for that one. And don't forget, tonight after Fruita Monument Grand Junction, we'll have Kevin Schaefer, Colorado Preps. So busy night tonight, tomorrow night, and tomorrow morning as well with the Mavericks, brunch with the Mavericks, when they take on CSU Pueblo.
I like that, brunch with the Mavericks.
Yeah, so you have Broncos, Bucks on Sunday. Bucks are favored by 6.5 in that game.
Oof.
If you've got some thoughts on how it's going to play out, do the Broncos get the offense going this week? It's a Tampa defense that total defensive ranking is not all that great, but their scoring defense it's a top 10 scoring defense. They give up yards, but they don't give up points. What could be certainly a plus for the Broncos is Vita Vea, the big defensive tackle, is going to be out for Tampa. And so that's a good thing for the Broncos. So you got some thoughts on that game coming up on Sunday here on the team. Pre-game at 9, kickoff at 11. The Broncos and the Bucks. And Evan Klosky, who he did a great job getting him booked, by the way. He was outstanding.
Thank you.
From the TV station Tampa 10, I believe, in Tampa.
WTSP.
Thank you.
Tampa 10.
Tampa 10. We're going to bring back that Know Your Enemy with him coming up back half of this hour. Jesse Kindig, Delta football coach, is going to start joining us every Friday at 7:20, and we'll talk with him coming up in just a little bit. All right, text or call us, 970-242-1340. Shohei Ohtani, is that the greatest single game a Major League Baseball player has ever played from an offensive standpoint? It's truly, words can't describe what he did yesterday. An incredible performance by Shohei Ohtani. All right, 7:13, and it's time for
What's Happening?
And it's brought to you by ComWest, your technology service partner. One team, one goal, helping your business grow. ComWest, they help business owners grow their business by providing quality, reliable, personalized technology solutions. At ComWest, they're not looking for work. They're looking for a partnership. They want to team with you, address your IT needs, help you improve surveillance of your business so there's nothing lost in terms of theft, improving your phone system as well, which is what they did for us here at the radio station. And they can help you with PC and server support, business phone systems, surveillance, network support, cybersecurity, and backup and disaster recovery. They'll come on site to work through all these problems for you. Call Nathan and ComWest today, 970-242-8142. By the way, they service the entire Western Slope. You can also go to comwestcorp.com and get more information from their website on what they can do for you at ComWest. All right, lead things off with what we're just talking about. Shohei Ohtani, the first player ever in Major League Baseball history to have 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a season. He accomplished that mark yesterday in the Dodgers' 20-4 win over Miami. He hit 3 home runs. He had 2 stolen bases to reach the 50-50 mark. And the Rockies will give Ohtani a chance to add to those numbers when the Rockies play at Chavez Ravine tonight. Broncos offense continues to look for answers after scoring just one touchdown in the first 2 games of the season. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix in the passing game has struggled to make plays down the field. Denver offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi says it's a combination of problems that are leading to their lack of success.
Yeah, I don't think it's one thing. I think, everything working together, just timing, protection, routes. Yeah, I mean, there's not one thing that goes into it. It's like most things on offense, 11 guys working together.
Broncos at Tampa Bay Sunday on the Team Sports Network with pregame at 9 and kickoff at 11. Aaron Rodgers threw for 281 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the Jets to a 24-3 home win over New England on Thursday night. The Jets moved to 2-1 with the Patriots falling to 1-2. Broncos play at the Jets next Sunday. The WNBA playoffs are set after the regular season ended last night. The 8-team playoffs start this Sunday as rookie sensation Caitlin Clark and the 6th-seeded Indiana Fever play at the 3rd-seeded Connecticut Sun. The top-seeded New York Liberty hosts the 8th-seeded Atlanta Dream. The 7th-seeded Phoenix Mercury plays at the 2nd-seeded Minnesota Lynx. The 5th-seeded Seattle Storm plays at the 4th-seeded Las Vegas Aces, and the league's leading scorer in Aja Wilson. The Palisade volleyball team continued their domination in Southwestern League play after winning 3-0 at Fruita Thursday night. The Bulldogs moved to 7-2 overall, 4-0 in league as Sabrina Lamman led Palisade with 15 kills, with Braylee McCaskill adding 33 assists. The Wildcats' Campbell Brammer had 11 kills, with Parker Clark posting 17 assists as Fruita Monument slips to 7-4 overall and 2-1 in league. In other matches, Montrose defeated Central 3-1 as the Redhawks improved to 7-3 overall and 2-1 in league. The Warriors' Sophie Litzen had 11 kills as Central drops to 1-5 overall. They're 1-4 in the SWL. And softball, game you heard right here on the team last night, Palisade rallied to beat Grand Junction 5-4 at the CMU softball field. The Bulldogs' Maddie Gray hit a triple in the top of the 7th inning and scored Elizabeth Fleming with Ellie Don's RBI groundout, scoring the other run to give Palisade the lead. Grand Junction rallied in the bottom of the inning as Alexis Walpole's RBI triple brought the Tigers to within 1 run, but Bulldogs pitcher Kinsey Gray got a strikeout, a lineout, and a groundout to end the game. Palisade moves to 10-3 overall and 2-2 in the SWL as Grand Junction falls to 10-5 overall and 3-3 in league. In boys tennis, Grand Junction blanked Aspen 7-0 at the Canview Courts. Tigers' number 1 singles Nicholas Miller led the way with a 6-2, 6-love win. Grand Junction Tigers football team is 3-0 for the first time in over a decade, and they have their toughest test of the season on deck tonight when they take on Fruita Monument in the black and blue game at Stoker. The Wildcats are struggling to adapt to the 5A ranks, but beat their other 4A competition in Central earlier this season. Wildcats are splitting time between Ben Romero and Cooper Rowell at quarterback. Tigers head coach Landon McKee says preparing for both guys is a difficult task this week.
You get 2 different skill sets from them, which is very challenging for a defense to prepare for. You have to have 2 game plans put in place. That's one of the things that we have to work on this week, just being able to adapt and be able to do different things to defend both sets.
Grand Junction and Fruita Monument cap off our doubleheader on the team tonight. It'll start with pregame at 4th, countdown to kickoff, and then Palisade at Durango at 5 o'clock. And so for the Bulldogs, they have the task of trying to beat a Demons football team they have not defeated since 2019. Palisade 2-1 after downing Resurrection Christian last week, while Durango picked up their first win of the season 2 weeks ago. Bulldogs head coach Joe Romano says the Demons are fundamentally sound in all phases and better than their 1-2 record indicates.
Solid, both sides of the ball, and the special teams is very good as well. So they've had everybody's number for quite some time. I know their record doesn't indicate how good they are.
Bulldogs and Demons play once again today on the team. First of our doubleheader. Pregame at 4, kickoff at 5 for Palisade at Durango, followed by Fruita Monument, Grand Junction. And that's a look at what's happening this morning.
What's happening?
Brought to you by ComWest, your technology service partner. One team, one goal, helping your business grow. Call ComWest today at 970-242-8142 or go to comwestcorp.com. All right, coming up on the other side of the break, Delta football coach Jesse Kindig. You're listening to the Jim Davis Show on the Team Sports Network.
It's the Western Slopes home of Colorado sports.
Come on!
This is the Jim Davis Show. Talking Delta Panthers sports on the Jim Davis Show.
And Delta Panthers coach Jesse Kindig, brought to you by the Rick Nelson Agency and American Family Insurance. For a free comparison, call this team of licensed professionals at 970-241-0078. Jesse Kindig with us. Jesse, appreciate the time this morning.
You bet. Thanks for having me back.
Always great to talk with you. I think every Friday this time going to work for you, right? Will this be okay?
Oh, yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, so we'll plan on this. We'll get together every Friday at 7:20 to talk about the Panthers football team. And a rematch of the 2A state championship game. We went to their place last week and took care of business. 49-0 victory over Rifle in that one. Ty Reed, another great game, 3 touchdowns, 175 yards to the air, had a rushing touchdown. So the 4 total touchdowns for him in that game. Just another great performance by your senior quarterback.
Yeah, he's playing good football right now, and we're just going to kind of let him do his thing. You know, he had a couple of misreads, but he's a high school quarterback. That's going to happen. So we're just going to keep getting better each week. That line's keeping him upright. We're able to stay a little balanced, run pass, and it's doing well for him.
And you had a great performance from Jordan Frazier at the wideout spot. 4 catches, 71 yards. He grabbed 2 of those Ty Reed touchdowns, and so he had a very productive game catching some passes from Ty.
Yeah, you know, the first couple of games, it was, you know, trying to get him some reps and get him going, and we finally got him going. He's a great tight end / wideout for us. He plays a great D end on defense as well. So I think we'll be talking about him, you know, as the season goes on a bit more.
Yeah, Jordan had a pretty solid game on both sides, 9 tackles as well. But you had Rip Lockhart with the 10 tackles in the game. And you also had from one of your senior defenders as well, Rhett Miramontes. He had 13 tackles. So your defense pitching the shutout, Jesse, and doing a nice job on that side of the football as well.
Yeah, that's what we do here. You know, as long as I've been here, we hang our hat on the defense. And, you know, when you start with a team like Palisades, sometimes you don't get that feeling, but they're just a really good football team. But we're starting to find our niche on defense, and we'll get that rolling. And that's just what we do here. The points come if you can keep them down. So the defense is rocking, and we love it.
Well, and I know you expected Rifle. I know they've lost a lot of talent with Logan Gross now over at Mesa. Troy Matea, who has been starting for the Mavericks until he got hurt on their defensive line. So they lost a couple of, you know, all-state caliber kids, a lot of talent from that football team. You didn't expect it to be the same group that you faced last year in the state championship game, but hostile environment, and you got to love the way your players responded going in there and getting the job done.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a big game, and our kids responded very well. Rifle's a tough place to play. You get down in that corridor, and the wind's rocking, and those fans love Rifle football, and we just had to kind of bear down and do our thing. And thank goodness the kids came out ready to play, and we love it. We're just going to build off of it.
Delta Panthers football coach Jesse Kindig with us as you take on Alamosa at your place tonight, Jesse. And for Alamosa, off to a 2-1 start for the Mean Moose. Dyson Woodward, their quarterback, has got off to a good start this season in terms of what he's been able to do in the passing game. He's thrown for 372 yards. He's got 3 touchdowns. Interception touchdown ratio, not, I'm sure, where he would like it to be with the 4 picks. But he's also been their top rusher as well. So Dyson Woodward, a guy that you're going to really focus in on the defensive side at the quarterback spot for them.
Oh, you nailed it. That's their team right there. He's a great quarterback. We got to see him last year. I feel like we get to see Alamosa every year. So another personal game for them, definitely. We get to play here, which we love to do. We're very competitive at home. So he's the real deal. He puts them on. He doesn't really miss. He's a great runner, tough kid, gets up every time, no matter how many times you hit him. So we're really going to have to push that envelope, get pressure to him, and keep him inside the pocket because he's a very dynamic kid.
So tonight, Delta squares off against Alamosa, 7 o'clock kick for that one at Delta High School, and Mark Cantry can hear his broadcast. You can go to our website, team1340.com, hit on the Delta link, and catch Mark's broadcast of that game tonight from our website. 2-1 Delta, 2-1 Alamosa tonight at Delta High School. Jesse, I always appreciate the time, and we'll chat next Friday at 7:20.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jesse Kindig, the head coach of the Delta Panthers, their defensive coordinator last year when they won the state championship. All right, text or call us 970-242-1340. Jim along with Cake today from the Bozarth Miller Chevrolet Buick Studios, the most trusted name in automobiles. So we've talked about Shohei Ohtani and the game that he had yesterday, where Ohtani hits 3 home runs, he steals 2 bases, 6 for 6. Just an incredible performance, becomes the first player ever to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in a season.
Let's be clear. I haven't had as good of games playing MLB The Show on rookie mode. Like, that's insane.
And you think about the fact he's stolen 50 bases. He's not a small human being.
No.
He's not. He doesn't look like he'd be the quickest guy.
He's not very discreet.
He's not a Ricky Henderson. He's not a Lou Brock.
Right.
He's not of the body type of some of the great base stealers in baseball history. But here he is stealing 50 bases, which it's great to see the stolen base back in baseball and being a bigger factor than it used to be. But the fact that he's an incredible power hitter and he can put himself, when he doesn't hit it out of the park, can put himself in position to score runs by stealing a bag and being the body type that he is, being the big guy that he is incredible. So anyway, here's Joe Davis, of course, the man that replaced Vin Scully. Joe Davis, of course, does work for Fox as well. But here's Joe Davis's call of the home run that makes Shohei Ohtani the first player ever to hit 50 home runs and have 50 stolen bases in a season.
On a 1-2, Ohtani sends one in the air. The other way. Back it goes. Gone! One-of-a-kind player. One-of-a-kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Yes, starts the 50-50 club.
And I'm just going to go on record as saying that might be a very lonely club there for a while.
Could very well be. Could be. Just an incredible performance by Ohtani yesterday. I mean, it is one for the ages. There's just... Gavin Lux said he has to be the greatest baseball game of all time. It has to be. Like, we went through the numbers. No player in baseball history had hit 3 homers and stole multiple bases in a game. I mean, that's to get to 50-50.
Yeah.
No player had ever collected more total bases, 17 in a multi-steal game, as we referenced earlier. There were things he did in the game that were historic, not just the end result, which was the 50-50 club, where he is the founder.
The inaugural member.
The game that he had, and he almost hit for the cycle. Almost hit for the cycle.
He was this close.
I mean, to think if he would have hit for the cycle and did the other things I just mentioned.
That would have ended the conversation right there.
It's since the RBI became an official stat in 1920, only one major league player has had, over the course of an entire career, same game or not, a game with 10-plus RBI, a game with 6-plus hits, a game with 5-plus extra base hits, a game with 3 or more home runs, and a game with 2 or more stolen bases. That guy's Shohei Ohtani. That's it. Just absolutely incredible what he did yesterday and what the season's been for Shohei Ohtani.
And this is further fuel to the fire, if you will, the conversation about if the Dodgers can't find a way to at least get to the NLCS, certainly the World Series, but if they can't even get out of the divisional,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you've spent all this money on all this talent. You have the unicorn himself doing what he's been doing and starting his own club of 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. If this is not the season that the Dodgers ultimately get a non-COVID year World Series ring, it's another...
I'm with you. It's an absolute failure.
Yeah.
It's an epic fail. If they can't get it. If they can't win it, they can't win it all.
They got
even getting to the NLCS isn't. If they don't win it all, with this kind of season from Ohtani.
Because otherwise it's a waste.
I mean, it's still an incredible individual accomplishment. But, boy, having that culminate in a World Series championship for Dave Roberts and this group, for Shohei Ohtani, I mean, that's where it needs to end up.
It does.
As much as I don't like the Dodgers, not a Dodgers fan, don't root for the Dodgers. In a way, I'm kind of rooting for him a little bit here because of Shohei Ohtani. I'm kind of pulling for him a little bit.
I'll pull for Ohtani and Ohtani only.
Yeah, for that reason, I'm not going to go out and buy Dodger gear. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to burn the skin. But I can... melting. But I can get behind Ohtani and the Dodgers because of Shohei Ohtani. I'm going to become a fan. I'll become a postseason fan of Ohtani and him playing well and the Dodgers doing well. That makes sense.
It's Ohtani and then Ohtani, the Dodgers only by association.
Exactly. All right, so Rockies get a chance for Shohei Ohtani to add to his numbers.
Oh, you're so screwed.
Don't know who the Dodgers are going to start tonight. We know Kyle Freeland. He's been really good. Kyle's been really good. One of the things you have to look forward to if you're a Rockies fan in 2025 is his continued strong performance as a starting pitcher and getting back to being the ace of this staff. So it'll be Freeland on the bump tonight, 8:10 first pitch for that one from Chavez Ravine.
So Bud Black had a pre-team meeting talking about the matchup with the Dodgers. We actually have the audio of what Bud Black said to his team after finding out about Shohei and what they're going to be getting ready for against LA.
All I can do right now is put on a brave face and go out there and be their leader.
It's over. We are screwed.
Wow. Bud sounds a lot like Michael Scott for some reason.
He does. He didn't know he was quite the Steve Carell impersonator.
Didn't know that. I hear Bud practically every day. Never heard him sound quite like that before. Well, it's what the stress of staring at 100 losses again. Even though he's the winningest manager in Rockies history.
That is like peak Rockies.
Yeah.
Your winningest manager in your franchise is facing his second in as many years a 100-loss season.
Yeah, not good.
Anyway.
All right, 7:35, and it is time for sound check.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
I have to wonder sometimes if the broadcaster's jinx is intentional, right? Like if we're trying to sort of manifest certain things to happen.
Will them to being reality.
I have to wonder if this was maybe a little bit on purpose. Al Michaels, right before Greg Zuerlein lines up for a Jets field goal attempt last night in the Jets-Patriots game. This, I think, has to be one of the all-time jinxes from Al Michaels.
And that's going to bring in Zuerlein to try to make it a 2-touchdown advantage. So the Pats were able to stiffen that time. And Greg Zuerlein, 13 years in the league. Tell you what, he kicked one of the most clutch field goals. You think about Vinatieri in the 44-yarder in the snow. With the Rams in overtime, like a 60 or 61-yarder, to give them the road to the Super Bowl. Otherwise, New Orleans that day probably had a first down or two where they go to the Super Bowl. Zuerlein. And this time he misses.
Way to go.
Like he had this like eloquent soliloquy.
Story about Greg Zuerlein.
Comparing him to Vinatieri in the snow.
And
clutch. And by the way, it looked like it looked like a relatively easy field goal for any kicker. That was a duck.
Yeah.
That thing was DOA.
Al might have said clutch, but it ended up being another word that starts with C. Choke. Oh.
It was ugly.
Oh.
Now, thankfully, the Jets did not ultimately need that Greg Zuerlein field goal to win the game as they dominated the Patriots 24-3.
Let's see, we got a text from Andy this morning about Shohei Ohtani. 970-242-1340. Ohtani had the best offensive performance in our lifetime yesterday. He is a talent that needs to be celebrated, and this is from a Giants fan. Broncos offense won't start being productive until Peyton decides to stop proving he's the smartest person in the room. Williams Dulcich should not see the field this weekend. I can't disagree with that about Pookie and Big Perm. I'd say you got to play Big Perm, though, because he does give you that ability to maybe make a big play, but he's got to catch the ball, though.
But the word...
You got to catch the ball.
The key word in that sentence is maybe.
Got to catch the ball. Let's see, got one. Keith in Montrose, listening to 102.1. With 6 games left against our Rocks, is 60-60 out of the question. Enjoyed the show, guys. Thank you, Keith.
You know... Because I remember 2 years ago when, last year, because it was my 10-year high school reunion. I remember it was the actual day of the reunion when the Los Angeles Angels, then with Shohei Ohtani on their team, came to Coors Field and dropped a 20-burger on the Rockies. And I believe Colorado ended up winning that series game-wise, but run differential-wise was still very much in favor of the Angels. And Shohei was a big part of that. Keith, 60-60 is not out of the question. It's really not.
I can't say that it's going to be, out of the question. So the Dodgers have the Rockies and they have the Padres, and then they have the Rockies again. So
why?
There's a lot.
Major League Baseball scheduling department, I got to complain.
It's a possibility that Ohtani could be 60-60 at Coors Field. That could happen there. That's entirely possible.
I would like to just put in a complaint to the Major League Baseball scheduling department. Why do you have the Dodgers playing the Rockies for 2 of their last 3 series of the year? I get it. It's divisional. It's NL West. But you can't give them like the Diamondbacks.
Here's the thing, though. Don't look at this as a negative. Look at it as, if you're a Rockies fan, baseball fan, if he does it at Coors Field, you saw history.
Yeah.
If he gets 60-60. Once again,
on the wrong end of my team.
I don't like that either, but what you have to you have to appreciate greatness when you see it, even if it's not in the best interest of your team. In the history of the game, he's already done something that nobody has ever done and could go beyond that. And you could potentially be there to watch it. I still want the Rockies to win. I still want them to win the game, win the series. But if Ohtani goes out and goes yard a couple of times, he ends up setting another record, I'm okay with that. I can live with that. Because we're seeing greatness here. We're seeing something that we've never seen in baseball history unfolding with Shohei Ohtani. And for that, I'd be like, okay, I'm good with this. I'm good with them taking on the Rockies in the last series of the season. And 2 out of the last 3 series. All right, 7:41.
I just think it's cheating at this point.
It's cheating. It's cheating. All right, Evan Klosky, Tampa 10. He joined us to talk about the Buccaneers earlier this week, and we'll bring back that conversation with him on the other side of the break. You can give us your thoughts about Shohei Ohtani. Was that the greatest single-game performance in Major League Baseball history? Can he get to 60-60? You can text or call us on the team line, 970-242-1340. Dylan also had a text about the Broncos. We're going to save that for around the NFL coming up because it's a Broncos question. So
good call.
It's about when, outside of the Carolina game, is there a game coming up here that Denver can win? So we'll dive into that coming up and around the NFL top of next hour. All right, we'll take a break and come back with Evan Klosky, our tape segment with him from earlier this week. This is the Jim Davis Show on the Team Sports Network.
They need a wake-up call. Call or text the Jim Davis Show on the Chick-fil-A team line, 970-242-1340.
And what do you want? to know my enemy. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. An Arabic proverb attributed to a prince who was betrayed and decapitated by his own subjects. Still, it's a hell of a quote.
All right, it's time for Know Your Enemy as we preview the Broncos heading to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers this Sunday on the Team Sports Network. And joining us right now on the team line, he is with Tampa 10 WTSP. Their sports director, Evan Klosky, joins us. Evan, I appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Good start for the Bucs. Baker Mayfield has played really, really well to start out of the gate, and you look at some of the numbers for Baker through the first two games after that win against Washington, and then, of course, a huge win against Detroit, who played last year in the NFC Championship game. Baker's thrown for 474, 5 touchdowns, just 1 pick. Chris Godwin is back into the slot role for this team. He's got 200 yards and a couple of touchdowns. That's been a really good combination, Baker Mayfield, Chris Godwin, through the first 2 games for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, with offensive coordinator Liam Cohen coming to town, Dave Canales, of course, heading to Carolina, dealing with whatever he's got to deal with over there. Liam Cohen is a disciple of Sean McVay and that offense. And, of course, we've seen what Cooper Kupp has done in that offense for a long time, Puka Nacua last year, and Chris Godwin has moved into that role. This is his natural role. He got injured a couple of years ago, his torn ACL, and, it took him a little bit to get back up to full speed. Dave Canales tried to kick him outside more than in the slot and move him around. Wasn't a great idea. Liam Cohen came in, said, you know what, we're throwing you back in the slot. It's where you're more comfortable. Enough with this, trying to protect you. You're removed from the injury enough. Let's get you back to doing what you do best. And he is Baker Mayfield's safety valve, and he is very tough to stop. And even in the game against Detroit, some of those targets in the first half, he had 7 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown in the first half alone. Then I don't think he had a catch in the second half. But he is such a smart football player that some of those were completely ad-libbed. He stops his route, circles back to Baker, who's been very elusive the first couple of games, moving out of the pocket, running when he has to. And he really has been a big-time connection for Baker. And, of course, Mike in that first game was amazing. They haven't even deployed Jalen McMillan, who the rookie out of Washington, who I think is going to be a really good player in this league. So there's a lot of weapons to this Buccaneers offense, and they've really only been stopped at second half in Detroit, where they ran a total of 20 offensive snaps.
Evan Klosky, Know Your Enemies. We preview the Broncos at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can hear that game this Sunday on the team with pregame at 9, kickoff at 11. And when you look at the running game right now, it's 24th in the league. Bucky Irving has got 84 yards on the ground. What needs to happen there, Evan, for that running game to get better, to provide Baker Mayfield a little more balance in the offense with the Bucs running game?
Yeah, look, they back-to-back years, they were dead last in the rushing attack. So 24th doesn't sound too bad to me.
That's better, yeah. It's not bad.
It's improvement. But ultimately, they just need to get some better push. There's also a little bit of a different scheme up there in the front. You have a rookie center in Graham Barton, who also I think is going to be very good in this league, but he's learning on the fly here, especially because he was a left tackle at Duke. So he's learning a new position. And, last week they kind of got weaned out of it. Luke Gedeke, the right tackle for the Buccaneers, was injured last week. That's going to be a big storyline entering this game against the Broncos. Is he going to get out of concussion protocol? Is he going to stay there? Justin School is the backup. He's the one that got wrecked by Aiden Hutchinson for most of that game. Aiden Hutchinson had 4.5 sacks. So I just think for the Buccaneers, utilizing the running attack to set up the passing game with guys like Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, who are tremendous pass catchers, I think that's really where they thrive the most. It's, they're going to run. They'll have a 15-yard gain here, an 8-yard gain there. But I don't think their bread and butter is running the ball. I think they got to use that in a little bit of quantity at points to set up the big splash plays. And I always say, in week 1, Baker Mayfield, when he was under center with Rachaad White behind him, they ran the ball 13 out of 15 times. But then 1 out of 6 times in one of his receptions, Rachaad White, they did a play-action pass, and that was a 32-yard gain. So it's using the tendency of, hey, this is when we typically run the ball, and then having 1 or 2 explosives to go off of that. I think that's really what you're going to see with the Buccaneers in that rushing attack. You don't have to fear it, but you got to respect it. And when you do that, something else opens up 1 or 2 times in the game, and that's going to get you down the field.
Tampa 10's sports director Evan Klosky joining us on the Jim Davis Show. It's Know Your Enemy, looking at Buccaneers Broncos. What have the Bucs done since the start of last year? Baker Mayfield, career high in yards, career high in touchdowns last year. What have they done with Baker to kind of unlock the most of his potential while limiting the negatives that some of his unpredictable nature brings?
Yeah, I think first off, the number one thing that Baker Mayfield has always said is that the building allows him to be himself. I think that he grew up. I think, look, he's a father now. A lot of the moxie he had coming out of Oklahoma and his early days in Cleveland, he learned some lessons, and he learned some lessons the hard way about his personality. And, that burned him a little bit. And doing so, it kind of created some negativity. It created some negativity in the outside space with some higher-ups in Cleveland, and it led him on a journey that he was never expecting to go on. He kind of lost himself a little bit and found himself in that small little stint in L.A. with the Rams. Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator now, was a part of that coaching staff that brought him in for that small tenure. And he came to Tampa in a 1-year prove-it deal, and, the Buccaneers told him, look, just do it your way, especially coming off of Tom Brady. Like, we're not going to micromanage you. We want you to be yourself. And everyone kind of gravitated towards him. So he enters that building just in a better headspace than probably what we've seen in a handful of years going back to last year. And then second, the offensive scheme just works so much better to Baker than what he's had in the past. In Carolina and Cleveland, where they kind of forced their system onto Baker, Canales and Cohen, the way that they do their system, it really works to Baker's benefit, rolling him out to appropriate sides, quick passing game, and also working the boundaries. Baker's always had a tremendous arm, and not to mention when you add in guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, you look a little bit better with those dudes. So he's got a great system around him, a great foundation, and he walked into a locker room that had a lot of Super Bowl winners that can kind of guide him as well on the field. And I think all of that, with the addition of winning, has really led to a good marriage. And now he's, sold his home in Texas. He's going to be a full-time Floridian. And he really has kind of put boots into the city, and I think it's allowed him to be more comfortable.
Evan Klosky joining us today. It's Know Your Enemy as the Broncos head to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs on Sunday. Let's flip it over to the defensive side, Evan, because right now the Bucs defense, a top 10 scoring defense at the moment, and certainly an outstanding defense last year. Jordan Whitehead leads the way right now with 19 tackles. Levante David's one of the really special players in the league. He's got 12 tackles on the season. This defense, they gave up 20 in that victory against Washington, but they're off to a really, really good start. As I mentioned, a top 10 scoring defense right now.
Yeah, they're a bend don't break unit right now. Holding Detroit 107 in the red zone last week was a Herculean effort, and Denver is going to play a really beaten up team. Like, no Antoine Winfield Jr., no Kalijah Kancey. I would be shocked if Vita Vea plays this weekend. I know Todd Bowles said he's day to day with an MCL sprain yesterday, but I would be shocked if Vita Vea is out there. So that's 3 pivotal players, some of their best out on the defensive side of the football. And a lot of those kind of backups stepped in last week and really did an amazing job. The one thing that I am curious to see is how a guy like Bo Nix is going to handle the cornerback duo that is Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum. Zion McCollum had a coming out party in Detroit. If you watch the receiver series on Netflix, Amon-Ra St. Brown, kind of roasted Zion, saying, oh, Jamel Dean got hurt. They
All right, that's Evan Klosky from Tampa 10, our Know Your Enemy. We'll take a break. We'll come back with Hour 2. This is the Jim Davis Show on the Team Sports Network.